Well, the provincial government has done a lot of funding to the province, to the cities and municipalities all across the province, including making room and making time for things such as the floods that we experienced in 2013. In the City of Calgary, what we've seen is the Glenmore Dam alone, $7.6 million. City of Calgary stormwater outfall improvement gates to make sure that that's happening well. $1.8 million. City of Calgary Center Street Bridge lower deck flooding. $1.5 million. City of Calgary Heritage Drive permanent flood barrier. Almost $4 million. What I would like to do is the city also has the opportunity to set aside some of the money to deal with it, and they were supposed to have some done for the pumping station as well as the pipes. I believe those pipes that are coming out of Sunnyside need to be moved to above the pathway system so that when we see the stormwater coming down off the hill into the community, that water can go out. What was happening when the flood was high, the water would have come back up the pipes. We need to move those pipes to above that pathway system, and we need a new pumping station to make that happen. If I get elected to go up into Edmonton, I will certainly be fighting for the community. The city says they don't have enough money to do that. I will be doing my best to make sure that the community of Sunnyside had that funding come back. I will do my best to make that happen. Thank you.
Well, there's certainly a reason why the city says they don't have enough money. It's because they don't have enough money. And so the provincial government needs to front load all of the flood mitigation procedures and policies that are planned earlier rather than later. There's another thing the province might want to consider. If people are going to gamble, as gamble will, why don't we take the revenues from that and siphon it off and build a fund that allows the city to apply for funding to address those local concerns like here in West Hillhurst. And yet there's another part. As each new development comes to this city, the developers have a responsibility to build a sewer system that can take the flow of a 1 in 100 year, whatever that means, flood. They have to be partners in this too. Private industry has to become involved. It can't all fall on the backs of municipal taxpayers or indeed the province. But there are 3 ways that we can do that. Increased revenue from lottery revenue, and we can look at the province front-loading its spending right off the top to get projects underway and get the developers, when they build a new facility, to build the proper sewage system.
Oh, good evening, candidates. What are your thoughts and position on the closure of the CYOC, the Calgary Youth Offender Center? Is the closure protecting our vulnerable youth and alienating with the federal legislation of the YCJA Act of 2001? Mark?
As much as I know about justice studies and the recidivism rate of young offenders, I think we will be losing an opportunity to treat these people with some dignity for whatever they have done. That doesn't mean that they're perfect little angels, believe me. Probably several of them are. But we must not lose the human potential in these young people. I've seen it over and over again. And the local facility allows us to take these people, to give them the proper training and guidance that they so often lack on the home front, and that's key. A lot of this happens because they come from homes where they were abused physically, sexually, mentally. There's a chance to redeem a human soul, and it's much better done at the local level, and they can get access to all of the practitioners that they need to help that happen. So no, the New Democratic Party is opposed to that, and funding for all of that kind of a program needs to be looked at in the context of where it fits in the judicial system and how we can get early intervention to help these people.
The provincial government did a very comprehensive study when it was looking at what it wanted to do to see it going to one center in Edmonton. And I think, as Mark stated, these young offenders are coming from very unstable environments in the first place. So what they're trying to do is take the center that is up in Edmonton and make sure that all of our youth that are coming from across the province are going to be dealt with in a very respectful way, and taking them and helping them to deal with the issues that they have in the many different fronts as they're going forward. yes, it would be good also to have them closer to maybe other people and so forth, and in the village and building it up. But at the same time, in the larger level here, if we can be effective in making sure that they can change how their pasts have been and take them out of the environment where they're close to some of the problems here in Calgary, it will be interesting to see if we can have them develop stronger and come out and be productive and positive people in our society. So I think we need to see how this center works. If this doesn't work over the next number of years, I think we have some very good possibilities, then it's certainly something we can look at and potentially move it back. But it's something that I think right now the justice system and the young offenders have come together, studying it very closely to make sure that this is going to be a productive and positive way to make sure our youth can grow and be positive in the future. So I think that I would like to see this given a chance to grow and make the students, the young people, strong again and contributors to our society.
Mark, let me ask you, if your child has broken the law, how would you feel about him being transferred to Edmonton? If we have more space than we have young offenders in Calgary, let's close part of the center and let go some of the staff. This is not a basis for healthy development. To remove them from the very supports that they've grown with, yes, there might be bad influences here. They have to learn to deal with the bad influences here. They have to start to make decisions independently. We have to have the people that care about these people, family, friends, counselors that they've gotten to know, perhaps over the years, close to them. To isolate them in Edmonton makes absolutely no sense if one's interested in the health and the development of the individual.
The Waterloo Party certainly agrees as well that we need to be able to treat, we need to be able to take care of our young offenders as best as possible, as close as possible. One of the things that we want to talk about is not so much the center itself as much as we like to keep it local. The greater problem is how do we prevent youth crime? How do we treat them once they're incarcerated? The greater question is how do we prevent them from reoffending themselves in the future? So yes, the Waterloo Party would like to be able to target appropriate legislation that prevents these crimes from happening, and if they are happening, be sure we address the offenders in an appropriate sort of way. Sometimes these youth, sometimes these children are not a product of what they do themselves, but by a product of some of the social abuses that are going on in society as well. We need to go after the people creating the problem for the youth.
Yes or no to Calgary as the Youth Offender Center? That was the question. Stay.
Okay, next question. Do you support the rights of students to form gay-straight alliances in their schools?
The Waterloo Party this is what you get when you do a lot of door knocking. I'm sure everybody else has experienced the same thing. Anyways, the Waterloo Party voted in favor of the gay-straight alliance bill that was passed back in March. And more importantly, the Waterloo Party respects all Albertans. One of the challenges the Waterloo Party has had faced in the past is, do we support inclusiveness of all genders or all religious or all choices? And the answer is yes.
I'm interested to hear you say that the Waterloo Party supported it. The question is, which bill did they support? They didn't support the Liberal bill that would make it mandatory for schools where young people wanted to form a gay-straight alliance. They did not support that bill. What they supported was Jim Prentice's bill, which was a softer version of that. If young people wanted to form a gay-straight alliance and the principal wasn't comfortable with it, then they could go to the Minister of Education and protest and expose themselves as having an interest in a gay-straight alliance, and somehow that would be acceptable. I'm sorry, the Wild Rose has been very backward on it. The PC government was dragged into this. Finally, they accepted it. They flip-flopped on the bill and finally accepted basically the bill that the Liberals brought forward in the first place.
I fully support the bill, and I believe that the provincial government had to make sure that things were being done responsibly and properly, and that's what they did, and that's what they did when they brought forward the government bill to make sure that all the pieces of the bill were covered in our society and people would be happy. I fully support gay lesbian community, I believe in equal rights for all people. And I also have zero tolerance for discrimination. And I believe the Premier Apprentice and the PC Party as well believe this as well. So thank you very much.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a provincial government that actually believed in doing the right thing the first time instead of being picked? Wouldn't it be wonderful if the Prentice government would quit pretending it was leading the parade when they actually saw it go by and ran like hell to try and get in front of it? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And here I want to pay some homage, as the French would say, to the colleague, Lori White. Frankly, led the way on this and did a fine job. She had courage and Kent Hare as well. So I give that kudos to Lori. Earlier I said we don't have a young life or a young person to lose, and we must not lose young people because they are discriminated. Of course we supported this. It was the right thing to do from the very beginning. Let's not wait so long next time. Human rights are everyone's rights. Thank you.
Quote, how can we reduce wait time to see neurologists, currently 16 plus months wait time? Quote, there are statutes of limitations of 1 year for WCB. People lose careers waiting for doctor's appointments. Mark?
Well, folks, what do you expect? Here we are with a provincial government where the waiting times have increased and show no sign, frankly, of coming down. We have a government that said, no comprehensive one-stop cancer care center at the foothills. We're going to build a golf course. That's just so wrong. Where are the priorities? That's why their time is up. They don't get it right from the start. We cannot allow this to happen. Not in Alberta, not with all of the potential we have. And yes, it is a matter of having a proper revenue source that is not carbon-based all the time, but has and acknowledges other ways to get revenue so we can attack the wait list. By the way, I'm on one for my knee. Remember the elevator that died? Well, it was good for the cardiovascular doctor, but it wasn't so hot for the knee. So, like you and many of you, I'm on a wait list somewhere, sometime. Not as critical as neurology, not as critical as cardiac, but on a wait list. They've got to come down.